Good day, viewers. Welcome to the shop. It's Pwalpar saying, come on in and have a seat. Today, viewers, we're going to talk a little bit about my power supply project. Every day here in the shop can be a learning experience, not just for you, mainly for me. Because as I tinker, I learn. Never learned it all, though. There's always something new you can learn every day. Y'all come on in and have a seat. I want to talk a little bit about my power supply unit that I took out of an old Dell computer. I want to modify it and use it as a power supply here on the workbench to operate my railroad crossing signal lights, testing anything for 12 volts. And just about anything I want to mess with for these other voltages. Mostly it's just a tinkering project. But I'm going to look at this whole thing as a different angle from what most of the videos you might see on the YouTube would be about. Most of the videos you'll see them jerk this thing open and go to cutting all these wires. I'm not anxious to cut nothing. Let's take a look at what it says on the schematic or the label there. Somehow I don't think that's in focus. We should be able to read the model number, the wattage, and other pertinent amounts of information here. As it says right on there, made in China. Anyway, maybe we can learn something together with this power supply unit. Now, most of my approach to this power supply unit is going to be more of a redneck type approach. The main thing I needed to do is produce 12 volts of electricity right now. I don't need a whole lot of other stuff. I've watched a lot of people's videos and they all copy each other. Most of them like to put a bunch of music in there and just make it look like they know what they're doing. I'll tell you from the get-go, I don't know a whole lot about it. I'll tell you what I have learned about it. This 24-pin connector here, however many connections it's got, goes to the motherboard in the computer. And each of these other things had a purpose in the computer, and each one has lines in it. Well, it's already designed to produce power. But the first thing they do is take their wire cutters and cut all the wires. And then they commence to making wires coming out of that board down there up here, the switches. And I do want to put a switch in. I got a toggle switch here somewhere. To do that, we're going to just use a green and black wire. But we're not going to get in a hurry to cut all these wires. In fact, I might put the switch, instead of putting it here, mount it in a box, maybe something like this right here. Separate from this. Now you got to remember that this power supply unit is old and used. If I spend a lot of money putting switches and binding posts and fixing that thing up fancy like everybody else does, it's liable to break down next week. As it goes, I can just unplug this booger bear, tear into another computer, get me another power supply. Yes, I have more computers laying around here somewhere. And just plug it right into whatever I develop for my power supply. Now, I don't intend to do a whole lot of electronic type work, so I don't need any fancy connections. If you want to be real redneck about it, you can just strip the wire off and twist it onto another one. But I'll tell you what little bit I know. These black wires that you see coming all over the place are all ground wires. The yellow wires, 12 volts. Should be a yellow one in here too. Anyway, the yellow wires are 12 volts. These plug here goes to the motherboard, and these go like for the DVD-ROM or CD-ROM, whatever, the fan motor, other accessories. There's a fan built into this power supply, but there's also a fan in your computer. But I don't see why we can't leave the wires just as is. Maybe we'll separate them and hook them up into a separate panel where we can just unplug it. Now here's the motherboard that I stole this thing out of. I can either buy one of these plugs right here or spend some time trying to unsolder it. Since it'll never be used again, I might spend a little time trying to unsolder that. But that's what I'd like to use to hook it up with. The orange wires are 3.3 volts. The red wires you see are 5 volts. The white wire, I believe, is negative 5 volts. This single blue wire is negative 12 volts. Anyway, I thought what we'd do here today in this video is we'll make a little jump wire. I had one laying here on a desk, done lost it, to get this unit to power on. And we're going to sit here and test voltage a little bit. Alright, I'm ready for my first test. And if I short something out and blow it up, it won't be the end of the world, providing I don't blow me up too. I've already jumped this wire right here between the green and black, and I'm going to plug it in, and when I do, that fan motor should come on. Okay, the fan came on. Now, according to everything I've studied, it should have power. Now, I plugged that wire to this boat trailer light into what I think is a wire, and I'm going to stick it to ground. Look at it come on. Now, that can be my on-off light to my power supply, showing that I got power on. And in the process, I'll be putting a load on the transformer. I'll be putting a sufficient load. I don't think I'll need a resistor. Now, where is my plug for my... I haven't got my flashing railroad lights hooked up properly. Not for flashing. I haven't worked on the flasher project at all. Let's see. That ain't what I want. I want a couple of these dooflunkers. Let's see if we can grab some electricity here to power my lights. I don't know why we can't grab it right here where I did the boat trailer light. No, that's the wrong color. Put a ground wire right on the chassis. Boy, these Harbor Freight test wires are so slippery you can't squeeze the alligator clip. What a pain. Let's just pull it off. Now, that should be a ground. If we have power, when I hook to this, it should turn on my railroad lights. Ta-da! By George, it handles that load real good. I wonder if it'll blow a fuse when we turn this on. Nope. That one burns too. Well, we know we have a good power supply unit. So let's start trying to produce our little box. Before we do that, some of you might prefer to try it the proper way. The proper way is to order binding posts, toggle switches, and things like that. I got an on-off switch right here. I dug out of my basket. I don't know why that won't work. I had a cigarette lighter plug-in thing that I was going to mount on my lawnmower for putting my to get 12-volt supply from my tire pump, but I never did put it on, and I looked in the work garage and can't find it. But you can actually hook power wire to that and run that straight to jumping off a battery or whatever. We're going to get back to my flashers project, but you can see it sure lights up my railroad lights. And this thing ain't even humming. It's doing a steady putting it out. All right, let's disconnect that and check some voltages. Now, like I told you, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having fun learning. I need to clear off some of this workbench and make some room. But it makes no sense to me on some of those people to go to cutting all these wires and stripping them back and plugging them in, putting them to a binding post. I already got a plug right here. All I want to do, see if I can unplug that 24-pin connector out of that motherboard, or come up with some other means of connecting them here. I could even use a regular electrical outlet. Put that in there. But I got a sneaking hunch I can use this extension cord. It's even got a power on and off switch I might be able to incorporate into my power supply. I'm one for trying to use stuff I already have on hand. Here's a cigarette power supply that goes with something I recently bought. My, can't think of what you call it now. Anyway, we're going to have fun tinkering with this little project. Don't expect no miracles from me as to looking anything fancy. But maybe we'll spend some time and come up with something that looks like Flash Gordon, an accessory for Flash Gordon's spaceship. Let's take some voltages. Let's go with, let's see, we're on DC 20, turn it on. Let's see what we get with this orange wire here. We should get 3.3. And I probably ain't gonna get diddly out of that. The wire hole's too small. Okay. See if I can make contact with that orange wire. No, that won't fit. Let's try this one. Oh yeah, we have some luck here. Okay, we're going with a brown first. I ain't getting nothing there. Let's try over here. Oh, I know what's the matter. My power wire fell out. Doggone it. My little power connection fell off. See if we can turn the fan back on. Okay, it's back on. Maybe it won't fall off. Back to checking voltage here. .14. That's got to be a red wire. Yep. Black ain't gonna get nothing because that's a ground wire. Here we got a white. White is supposed to be, I don't remember. They said only the older power supplies have a white wire. Looks like white's -5. No. My Georgia says 12 volt. Oh, I see. This plug jacks off of another one. Anywho, we got 12 volts there. This red one should be 5 volts. 5.14. Here we got an orange. Orange 3.38 volts. Next to it is a red, that should be 5. 5.14. Here's a white. That white's coming out 12 volts. So the paper I've been studying is wrong. Now over here, five, 12, 5, 12. Looks like most of the stuff in the computer runs off of 5 volts. Here's that blue wire. -12. They said it would be -12. Here's the orange wire. 3.38. So I know my power supply is functioning properly. And I know I've learned a little bit today. I guess the first thing would be to study on how I'm going to manage my hookups with what I got on hand without running out and buying a bunch of stuff. Now, I could use a regular electrical outlet to plug in my railroad lights. I've already got the wire hooked up to that. Now, if you want to get fancy, you could actually mount this power supply unit somewhere on your workbench and fix all kind of voltmeters and on-off goody grabbers. I'm having fun tinkering with it just like it is. Certainly not in a hurry to disconnect anything. If I can get all them wires jammed together and stuck through this slot right here, I can put my cover back on. Yeah, I watched one fellow's video on YouTube and he pointed out the fact that, and he's right, that this come out of an old computer, so it's subject to break at any time. Why would you spend a lot of money and time on that when all I need is a little bit of power supply? I suppose you could hook this thing up and run ham radios, CB radios, any 12-volt radio. There's probably all kinds of things you can use a power supply for. I hope you find my video a little bit of interest today. I went to the doctor today, the heart doctor, and it was a regular scheduled appointment just for a check to see how I'm progressing. And they said I'm still alive. When you go in the doctor's office over there, they won't let you in until you tell them if you've been out of the country, if you got any flu symptoms, have you been sick? A lot of people sitting around over there getting treated today. But from what I've seen on the news, we might all have to just stay in the house and wait for a president to send us our check.